Hi guys, it's SimLicy here, so welcome to another speed build. So today I am building another family home, and this time it's a family house for a single mom and her adopted baby, which I am really excited about. I absolutely love this house. I love the story. I'm really proud of like the landscaping and the interior, and I hope you guys are going to like this house because I feel like it's like my favorite home I've ever built. I mean, I don't know if that's exactly true because I've built a lot of things and I feel like that's a really hard thing to say, but it's definitely in like my top 5 because I think this house is really cool and I hope you guys are going to like it. But the idea for the storyline with this build came from a suggestion by Aubrey Walsh. She says that she would like to see something for a single adult mom who's decided to adopt since she's not getting any younger and she hasn't met her partner or anybody to basically have a child with. So she's just kind of taking that on herself, which I think is really cool. And she loves to garden, she loves to bake and do arts and crafts. And Aubrey was also mentioning that maybe I could wait to do this until we got the knitting stuff pack, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to go ahead and do this now because I wanted to see what I could come up with for an arts and crafts room, and you guys could definitely update it if you decided to buy that stuff pack later on. And I think even without having that stuff pack, I made a really nice arts and crafts room. I mean, of course it's not super functional because we don't have a sewing machine, we can't knit or weave or anything like that, but I think it looks really cool. And the inspiration I got for like the personality of this single mom was actually from a channel I found recently on YouTube, and I'm gonna tell you guys the channel name. It's Christine McConnell. So I found this channel the other day. I watched her like house tour of this old Victorian home that she bought somewhere here in California. At least I think it's kind of Victorian-ish. I don't know if it necessarily is, but it has like a Victorian essence to it. Either way, she fixed up this house and it has so much character. It's beautiful. She even like hand painted all of the wallpaper in her house. I was like mesmerized by this video. It was like the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my entire life. She does like all of these like woodworking projects, and she just did all of these really cool things. And I'm gonna link the video in the description because I think you guys should definitely check it out. It starts off a little bit weird for my taste. I really wasn't sure if it was going to be something I was into, but literally I was like mesmerized the entire time. She's amazing. Like, I started following her everywhere now. I'm so excited. But yeah, so I was really inspired by that video that I saw. And so I was thinking that the single mom has maybe found this house within the past like 10 years or something, and she's just been working on it, fixing it up, and it's finally to a point that she is just really happy with. She feels like she doesn't really need to make too many more changes, maybe like some redecorating here and there, or you know, as the seasons change, maybe she'll do different things, but it's basically her dream house. It's exactly what she's wanted her entire life, and now the only thing missing is a little family. And since she hasn't found anybody to date or marry, she decided to adopt a child, and I went for a baby. Of course, you could easily change the room if you wanted to have like maybe a child or a toddler or even a teenager. Like, the room's pretty big, so if you wanted to fit like a larger bed or more activities, like I think you'd be completely fine. And of course there's the arts and crafts room, so if you wanted to turn that into another bedroom. There's also an attic space that could easily, like the arts and crafts could be moved up there and you could keep basically all the same activities. There's also like this tiny little play nook that I thought was really cute, but you could probably turn that into a bathroom and maybe make the bathroom another bedroom. Like, I feel like there's a lot of options with this build. The only thing that I didn't include that I really wanted to was a basement, and that basically just has to do with the stairs because I just really did not have a great place to put them to lead down into the basement. I probably could have stacked the stairs from the like in the entryway hallway leading to the second floor, but I don't know. I really don't like the way that looks all the time. Sometimes I can make it work, but thankfully I had enough space to easily add a staircase to the attic. I'm just hoping that we get ladders someday because this is gonna solve like most of my problems. Or like spiral staircases, that would be so cool. A house like this would be perfect with spiral stairs. But speaking of stairs, I really like this staircase that I added on the back of the house. I thought that was like a really cool feature, and it made it feel a little bit more coastal to me because we are building here on the island of Windenburg, so I did want this house to feel just slightly coastal. I don't really know if it came across that way, but I was trying to use like softer, like maybe beachier colors. Like I used this light gray for the exterior, and there's lots of white trim and like white accent colors in the stairs. It still feels like Victorian, but it feels kind of coastal at the same time. Hopefully that makes sense. But for the interior, I wanted to go very traditional because again, I was inspired by that YouTube channel that I found, because her interior style is very, very traditional. Like she even tries to cover up like the electronics and different technology in her house. Like she doesn't own a microwave. She built this amazing like owl cabinet to cover up her TV in her living room. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It is so cool and so inspiring. And yeah, I just was basically just really inspired by this video I watched. And so yeah, I don't know, I was thinking that the single mom in this build was kind of like that. I didn't do anything to cover up the TV. I think it would be really cool if we actually had one of those older style TVs, kind of like maybe like a 50s style cabinet TV that you could like close the doors, and then whenever the Sims go to watch TV, they could like pull out a little remote and it would open, or even just open automatically. They don't even have to have like the animation. But I mean, since we already have the animation in game, I think it'd be pretty easy. But I think it'd be really cool if we had like an older style TV inside of like a cabinet. I would love that. But anyways, here you can see I'm moving on to the floor plan. This floor plan actually came together really easily. I was a bit worried because the shape of this house is very weird, but I was able to fit in basically everything I wanted to besides the basement, like I mentioned. But there's 3 bedrooms. One of the bedrooms is an arts and crafts room, and then there's the master bedroom, and then there's the nursery. There's that play nook, like I mentioned. There's also 1 bathroom on the 2nd floor. There's no ensuite bathroom to the master bedroom. I thought about trying to squeeze one in, and I probably could have, but I really didn't think it was that necessary, and I kind of felt like an old house like this might not necessarily have one. So there's 1 bathroom on the 2nd floor and then 1 on the 1st floor. So I think that should be plenty, especially since I only planned on 2 Sims living here. But yeah, I think even if you had more, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And then there's also a formal dining room. There's a living room. There's also a pretty good sized kitchen with a dining nook, no, breakfast nook. Dining nook, I guess, makes sense. And then there's also a laundry room, and then another little kind of nook for an office space. And yeah, I just basically really enjoyed how the layout came together. I really enjoyed just building this house in general, especially the landscaping. I had a lot of fun with that. I think I left all of the landscaping in because this video is quite long. I decided to leave in basically everything, so hopefully you guys don't mind that it's a pretty long video. I know actually a lot of you guys do enjoy those. So yeah, I didn't cut like anything out. Actually, no, I did leave out the attic space. I did record part of it, but since it's in the roof, it's a little bit hard to record. And then I made a lot of changes once I like went to go take the screenshots because I wasn't really liking it. But you'll see everything in the screenshots. But other than that, you can see everything. And the landscaping I was just really proud of. And basically I used all live edit objects to do the landscaping on this build, so hopefully you guys don't mind, because some of the plants do create pretty harsh shadows underneath of them, so they look a little bit weird when they're close to the edge of the lot. But I really love the way it looks. Since this sim is supposed to love gardening, I really wanted a lot of the plants to look less manicured and more overgrown, and a lot of the plants in the live edit objects look this way, and I just love the textures on them. And also, since I'm building here on the Windenburg Island, for so long we basically had none of the plants that you can see surrounding these lots. Like if you wanted to make them blend into this like neighborhood, you really couldn't do it that successfully because you couldn't have the same trees because they were locked and hidden away in the game. But thankfully we got that update where we can access the live edit objects, so now we have like all of the trees, all of the grasses and shrubs and flowers and things that you can see surrounding these lots, and I think it just blends in so much like nicer, and it's so pretty, and I just really enjoyed the landscaping, basically is the moral of my story. But here I thought it would be fun to create this kind of like courtyard or side yard area with a fountain. For now I do have this fountain. Basically I used the fountain tool and then put another fountain decoration inside of it to give it a little bit of height. But I didn't really like how flat the fountain looked itself, so I ended up swapping it out for a different one that came with Get Together, and I think that just looked so much nicer. But I just I close it in with some different plants and shrubs and trees and try to make it feel kind of like private and secluded, and I use a bunch of terrain paint to make it feel like it's paved in. And that tree that I used on the opposite side of the fountain from those benches, I think it's a wisteria tree. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not exactly sure. I haven't got a chance to use that yet. I've been wanting to use it since we've got access to the live edit objects, but I haven't found like the best place to use it yet or anywhere that it really fit. But here I thought it fit perfectly, and it kind of made it feel like a little bit more like special in some way. I don't know if you guys agree, but I was really excited about it. And yeah, I just love this little area. I end up cluttering it up with a few like different pots of flowers, and I put a dining table here and just some random decorations to make it feel cluttered and lived in, and I just really enjoyed it a lot. So this was one of my favorite things to do on the landscaping. Other than this though, there is a garden area because of course this sim does love to garden. I didn't do like a vegetable garden like I did in my last build for a sim that loves to garden. I decided just to do some planter boxes, and I used those really like nice rustic ones that look hand built. They came with Outdoor Retreat, I believe. You'll see that here in just a little while, and I chose those ones because of that channel that I was watching and her doing all of those woodworking projects. I'm telling you guys, she's like Wonder Woman. She does everything. It's so cool. She was mentioning in that video how she wants to buy a house on the East Coast and like fix it up like one of those kind of old creepy Victorian homes, and I think that would be so amazing. I would love to watch her fix it up because I only recently found her, so I didn't really keep up on anything. I think she shares most of that stuff on Patreon, so I'm gonna have to check that out. But either way, here you can see I am almost finished with all the landscaping on this side, and I'm just swapping out the fountain. I really wanted to use those lily pads. Those are ones that you can find in the live edit objects too. But the only reason I didn't use them is because they didn't raise up to the right level to like sit on top of the water in that fountain. I think I'm gonna play around with that and maybe try to place them on a swimming pool, because you can adjust the height of a swimming pool, or maybe I could just place the fountain tool and adjust them. I don't know if they would actually snap to the top of the water. I really want lily pads in there, so if you download this from the gallery and there's lily pads in there, that means I figured it out before I uploaded it. But yeah, here I'm just picking out something to put on the table in between there. I really wanted just some nice flowers and a candle, and I went with that decoration that I think came with backyard stuff, if I remember correctly. I think it did, but either way, I thought that one was nice, and I thought the color swatch was like nice and neutral for this build, because I didn't want anything that looked too like colorful and cartoony, because I didn't think that was necessarily this style of the build I was trying to go for. But anyways, here you can see I'm moving on to the front yard, just adding more of the same plants. I basically use the same like variety of flowers. There's like 3 different flowers or 4 different ones that I use, and like 2 different bushes, and then only a handful of trees. And I basically just repeated those over and over and tried to place them in ways that I thought looked nice. There really is no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. A lot of you guys do ask for landscaping tutorials or tips on landscaping, and it's something I would like to do in the future, but I have no idea how I would be able to tell you guys what I do exactly, because I kind of just make it up as I go. But either way, I think limiting the number of plants you use is a good start, because I think it actually worked really nicely here, and I think I do that pretty often. But here I'm just adding some terrain paint underneath these little cobblestones. You can also find the cobblestones in the live edit objects, and since I've mentioned that like so many times in this build so far, if you want to access it, all you have to do is open the cheat bar, and you do this on a PC by holding Control-Shift-C. I'm not sure what that is on a Mac, and I'm not sure if it's possible to access this menu on console. So if it is, or if it isn't, please let others know in the comments, because I still have a lot to learn about console. But yeah, you open that cheat bar and you type in bb.show live edit objects, and even if it's not accessible on console, then I know anything that you download from the gallery will still have those objects. At least I'm like 98% sure. I don't think anything would disappear, and I think you can download those rooms from the gallery where people have gone through and separated like the cars in different rooms, and you could download those and everything should be there. And yeah, as long as you have all the packs too, because some things require certain packs, like all these trees and stuff that I'm using do require get together. But here you can see I'm just adding a few more of those. I really wanted this build to feel like nestled into the trees and make it feel like it's, you know, a part of this island. And I also end up separating this backyard area with a fence, and I go with this fence. This came with an update, I think around the time Get Famous was released, and we actually don't have a matching gate still. It's been how long now since we've got this update, and we don't have a matching gate that goes with it. So it's always kind of a process trying to find something that matches, but I went with this one, and this one came with Romantic Garden, and I thought it actually matched really nicely, and it kind of added to that Victorian feel that I wanted to have for this build, and I really liked it. So I was definitely happy about that. And then here I'm just adding some more of these cobblestones. I've been obsessed with these recently. I'll try not to overuse them, but I'm really enjoying them. I think they're really pretty, and yeah, I just like them a lot. But back here I end up having a swing set. So even though I imagine that this lady has adopted a baby, she still has a swing set because maybe she just enjoys swinging, because your adults can swing on swing sets. And then when the baby gets a little bit older and becomes a child, then it has somewhere to play. And of course, you could add some like toddler items and stuff too if you would like to, but I just thought that was kind of nice and simple. I do end up adding an outdoor dining table, and I don't think I included a barbecuer anywhere in this build, so you may want to include one out there by the dining table or something. But yeah, I just decided not to for whatever reason. I'm not exactly sure. But I was really happy with the way that dining area turned out, because I end up using this umbrella that we can find in the Live Edit Objects too, and I merge it into a table to kind of create my own umbrella table. So you'll see that here in a little while. Here I'm just adding a few more plants to the front yard because it didn't look quite right to me, so I just wanted to add a few extra. And of course, a lot of terrain paint to make everything look more like lived in and kind of grounded to the space, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I kind of went a little bit crazy with the terrain paint on this build, and I'm really pleased with it. I think it just came together really nicely. But over here next to this tree is where I end up making the garden area. So like I said, I end up using those planter boxes that look handmade. They're super rustic. I thought they just suited this build so nicely. And yeah, I just put a few of them around. I was kind of thinking that this woman that lives here likes to grow maybe flowers or something instead of like fruits and vegetables. Maybe she grows like some like seasonal fruits or berries or something, but I really just saw her enjoying like a flower garden. So I don't know if you guys agree, but either way, I like the way this area turned out, and I thought those boxes were absolutely perfect. And yeah, here I'm just adding some extra decorations. I decided to use this wooden cart again. I used this in my last build for a sim that likes to garden. I'm really obsessed with this item at the moment too, and I'm using the OMSP shelf to clutter it up, and I had to draw a wall there to place the OMSP shelf against, and it's really easy to do. I've been getting a lot of questions about the OMSP shelf. I do have it linked in the description, and you guys can download it there. And it's like the most amazing piece of custom content you could ever download. If you're not interested in it and you're curious if you can still download my builds and if everything will be the same, you absolutely do not need to download it. Everything will be exactly the same. It's just a tool that I'm using to place items a little bit easier. But yeah, I definitely recommend if you guys are into building and you kind of want more freedom and flexibility with placing items, it's like the best thing you could ever download. But here I'm moving on to this part of the backyard, just adding some more plants. It's basically the same thing over and over, so hopefully my landscaping isn't too repetitive, because I really didn't want to cut any of it out. I just really enjoyed it, and I want you guys to see everything, and I think it's actually really pretty. I like the variety of the colors that I used with like the orangey reds and the pinks and all the greens and that creamy white color of those hydrangeas. I think they're so pretty. But this is the umbrella that I was talking about. This is something that I've also wanted to use, but haven't really found like a great place to put it. I don't think I've used it at all so far. So what I decided to do was merge it into a regular dining table. It took me a while to find one that I wanted to use, because I didn't want anything that looked too modern. I didn't want anything that looked like overly traditional. And I thought this table from Cats and Dogs was perfect because it looks a little bit rustic, but somewhere in between like new and old, and I thought it was really nice. And I paired it with these chairs that I think are base game. I think they came in like an update at some point, and then I just clutter up the top of it with these condiments. I put the condiments inside this basket, and I thought that looked really good. And then just some flowers and candles, and I thought that was kind of nice and simple. And then I do add a little bit extra terrain paint just around the edges to make everything kind of a little bit more, I don't know how to describe what terrain paint does, but I think it makes it look more finished. And then of course I'm just adding some lights to the exterior, and then I do decorate the porches with some of these hanging planters that you can also find in the live edit objects. Have you guys seen, by the way, with the community voted stuff pack, that like 3 of the plant hangers have made it through the voting? I'm like so excited. I think I voted for at least 3 of them. Oh, I'm so happy. And then also that like a really adorable llama planter. I can't wait for this pack. I feel like it's gonna be one of my most favorites ever because I love crafts and I love the art style that they're coming up with. I mean, of course we won't know exactly what it's gonna look like until they actually make the meshes, because they might look slightly different than like the concept art, but I'm really excited about it. I can't wait. But anyways, here I'm moving on to, well, I'm just fixing some of the plants because some of them were kind of growing over the side of the porch, which I didn't really mind too much. I wanted a little bit of that because it kind of added to that overgrown effect that I wanted the build to have, but some of it was a bit too much, so I had to fix it. But over here I do have a chest table, and then I placed this bench with a side table, and also that basket that came with this decoration that came with laundry day. I thought that was really pretty. And then I also used that tray that came with tiny living next to that bench. I do end up swapping out that bench for a different one later on because I really like the one that came with movie hangout, I believe. You'll see it here in just a second. It's the one with the wicker frame, and I thought it was really pretty, and I wanted to use these ones actually and do like a little seating area back here, but these ones looked a little bit too modern, and I tried using these high back wicker ones, but they looked kind of strange here in the middle of the porch, but I decided to be perfect in the front, and so I just swap it out for that other one that I was using. And I thought this one was perfect because the swatch on it's a bit neutral. Like, I love the other swatches. I love all of the fun, colorful pillows. Like, it's very bohemian, very much like my favorite kind of style, but for this build, I thought the simpler pillows was best. And then instead of doing a seating area in this spot, I ended up just placing this outdoor dining table, which I also thought looked really nice. It's a bit repetitive since there's already another dining table like just like a few steps away from it, but either way, I was really happy with the way it came together, and I thought the color of these chairs were absolutely perfect, and I thought it just looked so pretty, and I love the decorations that I put on top of the table. But maybe if we get the knitting stuff pack and it comes with maybe some nice furniture that might suit this style. I really want to see like a high back lounge chair that's a wicker frame that looks a bit more traditional, kind of like the chair that came with cats and dogs, the high back one. You'll see me use it a few different times on the interior of this build, but if that one had a wicker frame, oh, that would be amazing. But speaking of that stuff pack, we are getting a rocking chair that's going to be like a new feature coming with it. So a rocking chair would be perfect on the porch here. I'm just really excited for this pack. I can't wait. But anyways, here I'm just decorating this small little balcony. I put a gaming table, and then on the back balcony I have an art easel. Since this sim loves to do arts and crafts, I thought that she would like to paint too. And then moving on to decorating the interior, I really wanted to include a fireplace, so it took me a little while to find like a great spot to put it. I was going to put it right here on an angle, but this is going to be the dining room, and I wasn't sure if it was going to quite work for this area, so I ended up putting it in the corner here in the living room, and I do size it down. And I tried to do this in a build pretty recently, and I decided not to size it down in that build because I didn't think it was going to work. I thought that the fire wouldn't size down as well. I thought it would kind of like take over the entire fireplace, but I play tested it in this build and it works fine. Like, I had literally, I would have bet that it wouldn't work. Like, I mean, I would have bet that it would have worked, but I thought the fire wouldn't size down too, but it seemed to look like completely normal. It's just a bit smaller, and it just made it work in this space better, so it wasn't like touching the windows at all. And yeah, I was just really excited about that. But as you can see, the living room is starting to come together. I started placing the furniture before picking out the flooring or the wallpaper because I tried decorating this once before, and I started with the flooring and wallpaper and it just wasn't working for me. So I just deleted what I was doing and started over. And I even picked like different furniture than I was trying previously too, because I wanted this build to have like a little bit of a newer feel, because I wanted it to feel like updated, like it's been restored, but I wanted it to still have that more traditional kind of vibe. And I wanted to use a lot of wallpaper in this build with lots of detail, but I didn't want it to look too busy. So it was kind of like a give and take kind of situation, trying to figure out what worked best. But I thought this wallpaper that came with Realm of Magic worked really nicely in here, and I ended up using it a lot throughout the build too, but I alternated like 3 or 4 different wallpapers So it didn't look too busy. It kind of was a bit more cohesive, and I think it actually worked really nicely because I wanted it to have that like very traditional Victorian look with the different rooms having the different wallpaper. Because again, I was also inspired by that channel because she hand painted literally all of the wallpaper in her house. It's amazing. Like one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my entire life, and it looks so good. So I was kind of thinking that the Sim that lived here may have done something similar. But in The Sims, having a bunch of different wallpapers to me looks kind of confusing and not that great. It kind of depends. Like if they're more like less patterns, it doesn't look so weird, but for me, like a lot of heavy patterns in all different rooms kind of looks a bit crazy because you're basically always looking at the houses from like a top view, so you see all of the rooms at once. And that's why I tend to use like the same tile throughout all of the bathrooms and the kitchen, because I do get questions on that every once in a while. And that's basically why I do it, and why I usually use the same wallpaper throughout the build too, because I think it's just like easier on the eyes and it looks a little bit better. But for this build, it was like not the style I wanted to go for, so I just kind of picked 3 different ones that I thought matched and then just rotated them to look like each of the rooms were different. So hopefully that makes sense, but I thought this wallpaper with the bats on it was perfect for the dining room, and I really enjoyed the way the dining room came together. I used this radio that came with Get Famous. It's a bit of an older style, kind of mid-century, but perfect, I thought, for this build. And yeah, just put a china cabinet here in the corner. I used a lot of artwork, well, not a lot of, because I think we only have like 2 pieces of artwork that came with Realm of Magic, but I do use them a couple of times. So yeah, maybe you could have this lady be a witch or something. I didn't really add any spellcaster things, like there's no cauldron, and I didn't really think of her as being a witch, but I think it would really suit maybe a character like that. But yeah, I just thought that maybe she was into maybe reading books about that kind of stuff, or into different like folklore or different maybe just different things like that. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and this little corner kind of gave me a bit of trouble, but I ended up just placing the side table with a lamp, and I have a chair over there with that radiator, and then also just, yeah, that radio on a plant. It's nice and simple. And then over here I do hang one of those hanging plants on the walls. It's a little bit more modern, but I thought it actually looked really nice in here. And yeah, I think this is basically it for the dining room. I was kind of struggling with artwork that I wanted to place because I didn't want everything to look like overly fancy. Like I wanted it to still have that homey kind of coziness to it. So I ended up using a lot of those wall decorations, like those birds, and then some like of the decorative plates and stuff. And I also really struggled with finding curtains that I wanted to use here. The ones that I end up using, I think fit the windows really nicely, but they just weren't exactly like the color or the texture I wanted. I really wish they would update those curtains, because I like that there's the different sizes of them, but the textures look a little bit fuzzy, and I wish there was like a plain white one and maybe some without patterns or something. I don't know, I don't really mind the patterns, but just some more colors. I would love it if they updated them. But here's the entryway. It's very simple, nothing too exciting. There's just basic entryway stuff. I feel like I say that with every entryway, but yeah, I still think it looks really nice. And there's the staircase leading up to the 2nd floor, and I was really happy to do it in an L shape because I thought it suited the build really nicely. Over here in this little nook, I really wanted to squeeze in a piano. I think it would have worked, but it really looked kind of ridiculous because it took up this whole entire space and kind of makes you think like, how would they ever get it in here? And so I ended up making a little office nook, which works really nicely. I thought this desk was perfect, and yeah, it's just a nice little office nook. If you wanted to repurpose this space for something else, there's plenty of other places where you could make an office, like in the arts and crafts room. It actually might make the arts and crafts room a bit more usable, because at this point, there's really nothing to do in there. Oh, actually something I wanted to mention. I used some mannequins in there, because this lady that I was watching, she sews her own dresses. Like, she literally Wonder Woman. She does everything. She does all this woodworking. She fixes up houses. She paints her own wallpaper. She sews her own amazing dresses. And so I was thinking that the woman that lives here also sews her own dresses. So you'll notice in the screenshots that I dressed the mannequins. I didn't dress them in any like elaborate dresses because I couldn't really find any that I thought suited like the look I was going for. So I just went for some like simpler dresses with nice like floral patterns on them. But yeah, you guys will see them in the screenshots. You could definitely redress them and have, you know, the sim that lives here create any sort of outfit that you could imagine. You could download custom content and dress the mannequins with those, but I just picked some nice simple dresses. But back here is going to be the exit way to the build, the back porch area, whatever you want to call it. Oh, I sized down this statue that came with vampires. I thought it looked really nice on this table, and yeah, I thought it was super pretty. I really like the way this area turned out. I kind of struggled with it at the beginning. I wasn't sure if it was going to be like too empty or kind of plain looking, but I think it's like just enough decoration. And then over here is going to be the downstairs bathroom, and it's a really nice bathroom. It's pretty simple. It's just a half bath. I didn't add like a shower or anything, but if you really wanted to, there's plenty of room to do that. You could also remove the door. Well, one of the doors, there's two of them in here. I did that because I thought it was kind of unique and it added a bit of character to it. I've been to some old houses that have that, like, I forget exactly what you call these types of bathrooms where you can like walk through them, but if you guys know, leave it in the comments. But I thought it was kind of nice and added a bit of character, like I said, so I thought that was really pretty. And then other than that, there is going to be a laundry room area. So this little room over here next to this side door leading to the porch is going to be just kind of like a mud room. There's the washer and dryer in here. There's going to be like extra supplies and kind of random things like extra gardening supplies. I also used some of those milk cans next to the back door, and I was thinking maybe she got like milk delivered to her, or maybe she has a cow and she milks it. That would be so cute, but unfortunately we don't have any farm animals in the game yet. I really want chickens. I think that's like my number1 farm animal that I want in the game. Like, I think that would be so nice to have a little chicken coop, and your Sims could go out there and harvest eggs and then throw down like some like feed to the birds and they could eat. I think that would be so cute. I would absolutely love it. But yeah, I put this table in between the washer and dryer. I thought that looked really nice. I actually struggled getting my sim to use the washer and dryer, but I did play test this. It all works, and the only thing that was blocking it is I ended up placing this watering can here in front of the washer, and it was blocking it. So I just had to move it slightly and everything worked fine. So I'm really happy that I play tested it, because I don't always play test the washer and dryers, because when we first got laundry day, they actually didn't work that good if you placed something above them. I think they pretty much never worked, especially if you placed shelves above them. But ever since they fixed it, I don't always play test it. So yeah, I was happy to do that in this build. But here I'm going through the debug menu, just picking out some extra decorations to place around. I placed a birdseed box on this side table. There's also some fertilizer, and you guys may have noticed that I went through and pulled out some like pens and pencils and put them on the computer desk. And yeah, over here is going to be the kitchen. I love the kitchen. The kitchen is one of my favorite rooms in the entire build. I love this wallpaper that came with Realm of Magic. This tile is like so pretty. I love the bird detail on it, and I thought it just suited this build really nicely. And I used these base game counters, and I paired them with a refrigerator from Jungle Adventure, and then the stove is from Realm of Magic. I thought the refrigerator looked a bit older, like I wanted it to have like an older style. It kind of reminds me of like a 1950s refrigerator, pretty close to anyways. But I also thought about using the refrigerator that came with Realm of Magic, but I really didn't like the details on the front. Like, I wish it was a bit more simpler, then I probably would have used it, but I'm glad it's not, because it looks completely different than our other refrigerators. So yeah, I think if it didn't have those details, it might look too similar to this refrigerator. So either way, I thought this one was perfect. And then over here I have some open shelves, and I added like a bunch of decorations just to clutter it up and make it feel nice and decorated. Like, this is one of the most cluttered rooms of the entire build, and I just had so much fun adding all those extra decorations. The breakfast table might not be usable because I put so many things on top of it, so I'm sorry if it doesn't, because I didn't really want to change anything because I like the way it looks so much. But you may want to delete the coffee cups or something, or I don't know. I just thought it was too cute, so hopefully it doesn't bother you guys too much. But over here I do have a bread box, and then a bunch of decorations. Like, I really cluttered up this corner, and next to the stove I also add some other decorations and things to clutter it up. And then to the left of the stove I also add this plant that I do end up having to delete when I was play testing it. I couldn't get it to work. I was hoping that I was going to be able to find a spot to like kind of shove it into the corner, but I couldn't get it to work. So you'll notice when you download it that it's not there, but you will see it in the screenshots. And then to the right, I cluttered up a ton. Like, I just wanted this kitchen to feel really lived in, since the Sim loves to bake and cook and all that kind of stuff. She has a really lived in, well-used kitchen. So yeah, I'm just really happy with it. But that's it for the entire downstairs. And moving on to the second floor, there's this nice landing area where I put some like random decorations, and you will notice that I tried to use carpet in the bedrooms. I just couldn't find a carpet that I really liked. I felt like a traditional home like this would probably have carpet, but maybe when she bought this house, she decided to rip up all the carpet and she found these like amazing wood floors underneath of the carpet, and maybe it had something else covering the wood floor and like part of the house. Or I don't know how it worked exactly, but she refinished them, maybe restained them, and they're like these beautiful wood floors. I'm just super jealous because I don't have wood floors in my house. I have carpet literally almost everywhere and then mismatched tile. It drives me nuts, but it's a rental. I can't change it, but it really makes me want to buy a house with hardwood floors. But yeah, other than that, I do have that tiny little play nook that I decorated like really quickly. It just has a stuffed animal and like a dollhouse in there that's a Victorian dollhouse. I thought that looked super adorable. And yeah, just some artwork and kind of random things. It's really not that exciting because it's just a hallway, but I think it looks nice, so I'm happy with it. And then you will see that there is a bathroom on this level. It's very similar to the downstairs one, but this one does have a bathtub. There's no shower in this build, which is kind of a shame. Really, there's plenty of space in the attic if you wanted to section off another room to make a bathroom, or even the little play nook or something. So I think there's lots of options if you guys want to do something like that. But yeah, here I'm basically done with this landing area, just adding a few plants and things for artwork. And then here I'm just copying over some items for the bathroom. I loved using this toilet that came with vampires. It's absolutely perfect for a house like this, and I thought it was so cool. Maybe when she bought this house, the plumbing was kind of messed up, and maybe people that she hired to help her maybe fix the plumbing were like, you should really rip out those old toilets and like buy some new ones. And she's like, I'm gonna get them working, and she like restored them, and they're like, I don't know, back to their formal glory. It seems kind of weird to say that about a toilet, but I think they're really beautiful, and yeah, I was happy to use them here. But yeah, anyways, you can see that I'm using a clawfoot tub. I put this side table next to it, and I clutter it up with some random decorations, and I put a lamp in the bathroom, which isn't something I normally do, but I thought it was kind of fun. And then here I'm deciding which room I want it to be the master bedroom, and I went with the middle one, and then I was thinking about placing a fireplace in there, but I ended up placing a vanity instead because I thought that maybe she'd want somewhere to do her makeup or something like that. And so I thought that was kind of a nice idea. And I really like the way this bedroom comes together. I love this bed. The bed came with Discovery University. I think the color of the duvet color and like the pillows is like a really pretty like turquoisey color, I think is what it is, and I love it paired with like the brown frame. I think it's very pretty. And then I also used that painting that came with Realm of Magic above it. I thought that was really nice. And then other than that, I do clutter up this bedroom with a bunch of random decorations, basically things that I thought that she might like to have in her bedroom. Her bedroom's actually pretty simple. It's not overly cluttered or messy or anything. It's just nice and simple, and I think it matches the house really nicely. I like the mismatched furniture. I used this dresser that's from Base Game. I like it because it's like distressed, and maybe she found it at like this cool like a thrift store or like maybe a flea market or something. Oh, speaking of flea markets, I recently found this amazing flea market in Los Angeles, and I've been planning on going again because I only went for like a few hours last month, and it's only open once a month. And unfortunately, with all of the craziness that's going on, I'm pretty sure it's going to be canceled again unless things miraculously are like resolved by then. So we'll see. Speaking of that, I don't want to bring it up too much because I feel like YouTube or, you know, watching videos like this should be like an escape, but I do want to say I hope you guys are doing well, you're healthy, and if it's like heavily affecting the area that you're living in, I hope you guys are staying indoors, staying sanitary, like washing your hands, and just staying safe in general. So I'm thinking about you guys, and yeah, just stay safe. But anyways, here I'm moving on to the craft room. This is probably next to the kitchen my most favorite room of the entire build. I think it turned out to be so cute. I thought this cabinet that came with cats and dogs, I think that's the pack it came with. But this cabinet, it has like rolled towels and different things that I thought could maybe pass as like fabric or different crafting supplies. I thought that looked so perfect, and I thought about putting an art easel in here just to make the room a bit more usable, but I didn't really like the way it was looking in here, so I decided not to. But these are the folded towels that I use. I stacked them up to kind of look like just stacked up fabric or folded fabric. And I used this rustic table with a bunch of decorations. I like cluttered up with like random things, some folded shirts, and I was thinking these are things that she's working on. And I also ended up placing a bread box on here, which might look a little bit weird, but I wanted it to feel like it was a sewing machine. And so it's just like one of those sewing machines that have those covers, and it's just kind of put away. So we're going to pretend that there's a sewing machine inside this box. So it's kind of a silly idea, but I thought it was pretty nice. And then I put that shelf above it that came with laundry day, and I liked it because it also had some like folded towels and things that maybe look like extra fabric, and it also has the coat hangers on it. So maybe when she's working on something, she can kind of hang it there and look at it, or something like that. And then I used some extra debug objects to put on the table for some like clutter. And then you will notice that I have that mannequin in the corner. I end up moving that mannequin and I put another one, and I put it by the window, and I put this side table in between it, and I think it looks so good. Like, I am absolutely obsessed with this room. And then I put an ironing board in here so she can like iron her fabric so it's not too wrinkly when it's been folded and put away for too long. I'm just obsessed. I hope you guys do like this room because I think it just looks so cool, and really happy that I came across that video. So definitely check it out. Like I said, it's going to be linked. Her stuff's amazing. Follow her on Instagram, everywhere. I'm like completely blown away by everything that she does. But yeah, I end up using this high back chair again, and I put that in the corner. So if you really wanted to make this room a little bit more usable, maybe place like an art easel or something there. But I figured since there was already one outside, then she could just put that in her inventory and maybe just take it with her wherever she wants, and really could just paint anywhere. So I wasn't too worried about it. And then I ended up placing a bookcase in here, and then I also put up some sketches on the wall, so just things she's like kind of doodling or maybe some inspiration or something. So I thought that was really nice. But moving on to the last room of the house, other than the attic, like I said, you will see the attic in the screenshots, but this is going to be the nursery. And I love the nursery. This is also one of my favorite rooms in the entire build too. I think the nursery is super cute. I love this dresser. I wanted it to look like a changing table. This is something I've done a ton, but this time I did it a little bit different. I used this bench. I think it came with laundry day also, and I sized it down to look a little bit smaller, and I think it actually looks a little bit more like a changing pad or something that you might have in real life. So I actually think it looks a little bit better. And then I used some different debug objects like some books and some baby bottles and that little stuffed animal bear, which I've been using in like almost every single build recently. So forgive me if I'm kind of repeating myself, but I think it looks so cute. And sometimes I just do that. I find certain objects and I become like obsessed with them, and I'll use them in like 10 builds in a row, and I like can't control myself. But here I'm finally using this bassinet that came with Realm of Magic. I've been wanting to use it in a build, and I just haven't had like the right one to use it in. And this one, it like fit perfectly. So I was so happy about it. And then over here I do have a little kind of reading corner, because I do like the idea of a sim being able to sit down and breastfeed and like read to the baby, or just hold them and like cuddle them. And so having like a little corner with a chair, I think is really sweet. Of course we can't do that. I'm not going to complain about it again, because I do that in every single build where I do a nursery, but I like the idea of it. And then here I'm just using the OMSP shelf to put a few decorations up on top of this bookcase. For whatever reason, this bookcase has no snapping points to it. I will never understand why they did it that way. But something I really like about this room is what I do over here underneath this window. I end up using this bench, and I sized down some of the stuffed animals, and I put two of them next to each other to look like a bay window kind of. And I think it just looks so adorable. And I use some of these chairs to look like pillows, which I've done before. So your Sims might not actually be able to sit on here because the pillows might block them, but for me, it's worth it. It looks so cute, and I'm absolutely obsessed. So I hope you guys do like it too. And we are coming up on the screenshots, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this build, and I hope you guys do enjoy the screenshots. So thank you so much for watching, and please leave any comments or suggestions that you have, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!
Meet me where the meadows grow. waste our time. We're not gonna stress, not gonna make a mess. Oh, no, I don't wanna be less than I can be. Oh.